video, I'm going to demonstrate how you can write a test case. So this would be helpful for Spring Boot developer, especially for a beginners, to write a simple test case to check your code. If you are seeing this code, I think you are interested in some aspect of testing, testing aspects. It's good that every developer should write at least a certain percentage of testing code before giving it to code review or deployment or whatever, because any high level application, it is also reviewed that how much percentage of testing code is written. Okay, so it's important that you write a test case. Let me explain here how you can make a simple test case. This video is continuation of another video where I explained how you can connect your Spring Boot with the MySQL in terms of reading and writing the data. If you haven't watched that video, please go and watch that video. I have given that link into the description section. So whenever you create a Spring Boot project, the Spring Boot initializer will give the directory structure, something like that. Okay, in order to write a test, you can see that there is a test folder. Under the test folder, whatever the application name that you have entered at the time of Spring initializer, Spring will automatically create this particular file. You can just leave this as such. Okay, go to your the test folder. This folder you see, right? This is the folder structure. In it, just select, and you can go and create a folder, right? Let's say in this case you are going to do a simple a test with the I would say stocks, right? Then I'll write stocks or stocks, a folder. Okay, inside, that's a folder, right? Inside you can create a one new class file. So please make sure that whenever you write the test cases, the class name, better to have the class name ends with a test.java. Okay, um, see, it is not mandatory for sure. Okay, let's say here, let me write, okay, stock test.java. Okay, um, see, this is not necessary that you need to create the uh, test classes ends with the test, but it is for hygiene factor. When you write a large base code, when you do a search or find something, it is easy for you to know that okay, this code is from a test case or other the service or a controller or component cases. Okay, so it just gives hygiene factor that okay, this class is a test class, so that you know pretty well this is a test class. Okay, that's the only factor, but this is not mandatory. Okay, so the first step, what you need to do is just add the annotation of Spring Boot test. Okay, sorry, Spring Boot test. All right, this is a first step you need to enter, and then you can write like any other the repository you wanted to insert or whatever. So in this video, I hope you remember that we created a domain object called the stock, and then we created a stock repository, and we inserted the stocks into the home controller and one of the API controller, right? So the same way I'm going to test here also. Okay, can we write something like um, save or create stock? Okay, and write it, right, a stock, and stock equal to new stock, and then and you need to import, of course, it's a domain object, and the stock dot set name, and you are going to set some name, right? And then what you do, then stock repository, right? We need to auto wired stock repository. See, as you type, the Visual Code Studio is automatically importing the necessary thing. That's a really good thing. As I hit enter, it does automatically for me. So that's a cool thing. So remove it and just go ahead and type save. Okay, you did save. So the next step is that before you test, make sure you have to add test annotation before this particular method. All right, that's very important because that's the way Spring Boot knows that this method is a test case. Okay, if you create another method, something like that, but without the annotation, okay, say you wanted to read or something, Spring Boot will not know this is a test case. This will not execute it at all. Okay, this is the only class it will get executed. So that's the reason. Make sure you always add the test annotation for the method that you wanted to do a test. So you remember when we create the stock, we also mentioned that the name is um, you know mentioned as a unique constraint, right? In the database, because we mentioned this is a unique constraint, if I create any name, I mean, if the name is not unique, for example, if I insert Apple, it will insert. When I run the same once again the test case, it will fail because the database will not accept the unique value, right? I mean the duplicate value, right? So in this case, what we can do, just go ahead and do something like uh, you just append some millisecond or something so that whenever you run the test case, it will ensure that the name is very unique. Okay, instead of putting the name here, I'm just going to add like a new date. I'm going to add a millisecond so that when I insert the stock name, it will insert with Apple and some unique uh, millisecond. Okay, get time. Okay, so then you need to of course insert the Java items. So now, see, I'm done, right? However, this may be a test case, but what it does is it just create a one stock record and it is inserting into the DB. As we say that this is a test case, how can I ensure that this data is recorded into the test case, right? So again, that's an idea. So you can think whatever the way you wanted to write. So there is no rule that this is the way you have to write. If someone say this is the way you have to, don't believe in that. Programming is all about idea. Okay, you just think, okay, this is the way I'm going to solve the problem by this program. Just do it. All you need to maintain the good, the good code, well documented, able to review, able to maintain, and all those things. But don't worry about if someone say this is the way. No, no, you can write the way you like. Okay, now instead of typing the name directly inside of the set call, I'm going to say that I'm going to create a one string variable and the stock name equal to, I'm just creating as a name, and then I'm setting this variable. It doesn't make any sense, right? Even the first the yearly method is fine, but the reason I'm doing this is that, okay, now I'm just creating a new record, right? And I'm going to get the same record. How can we get? In Spring Boot, it's easy, right? So let's say last stock repository dot. How can we get the last one? In Spring Boot, it's easy, right? Find the top by order by ID desk. Okay, that's it. So in this case, Spring Boot will get one particular stock from the database. Even though the table has many records, it will take only the last item, because it says that order by ID, right? ID is always go like increment 1 2 3 4, because we said decrease, the ascending order, descending order. So it will take from the descending order the first one, which means the last record it will read. Okay, so I just created this the method in the repository class. Okay, and it is already there. Now how do we compare? So you see, when I insert, this will be inserted into the last record, right? So we are going to compare these two together. How can we compare? Let's say assert. My idea, okay. My idea is that assert, um, let's say equal. I'm going to compare this stock the last insert stock along with the one from the database. If the if both object name matches, then my record has been inserted. Okay, equal okay, then take the stock dot, sorry, the last stock dot get name should be equal to the one we created, right? In the sense, if this matches, if this says that it's true, then the record we inserted is true. Okay, let's go and run this. How will you run? You can just put a cursor. You can have many methods. You can write whatever the idea you think. You can write the way you wanted to test this case. This is one of the basic and very simple, I would say. Okay, so in order to test, what you can do, you just right click from the test object. Okay, and you see this, right, run test in current file. Okay, which means if you click this, it will run all the test case, which means assume that you have one more test case here. Okay, let's say read method or something. Okay, read stock or something. If you run something like that, then it will run this test case and this test case together if you run the run test in the current file. Okay, so I mean we don't need to have the duplicate code, just keep it like that. Okay, the other way is that even if you have a multiple test case, you can right click and say you wanted to run this particular test case only, not all the test cases. Okay, the other way, you can right click this file also, go to a menu, there should be some menu in order to execute this test case. Okay, I'm not seeing here, but if you run this icon, you can find all your test case. So let me figure it out. Okay, let's go and run it here for now. Okay, right click and test in the current file, right? Okay, close this unnecessary thing, and you see, right? So it's supposed to enter the record in the database, and then it should compare. I mean, it should pull the last record from the database, and it will compare them together. You see the green icon, right? Which means the test case is success. Okay. Now assume I'm going to compare this, the last one. Now it will enter something else, right? I'm just going to test with just Apple. I'm sure this will fail, right? The test case will fail. Let's go ahead and run. Even you can click this icon in order to run. Just follow a single method. It's always easy. Now you run. I'm sure this will fail the test case, right? Because the last record could be something Apple hyphen some kind of millisecond number, but this time it compares with the Apple some number with the Apple text. It doesn't match. That way it says that the test case really fails. Okay, just go ahead and look at into the DB and see what we look. Okay, I have the database select star from stocks. You see the two test case we run right now, right? It just inserted some record. I mean, it always comes with the unique values. Okay, now just go ahead and remove this and let's undo this. This is a valid test case, right? It always succeeds. So if someone of you, like to run this as this in the command prompt, of course, you can go ahead and go to your folder. So in my case, I have this in this folder, right? This is the folder I have this particular SpringBoot project. Simply run MVN and test. Okay, in case of Windows based users, you can run like Maven test. Okay, I'm a Mac user, or both Mac and Linux user can use MVN as a command. Okay, when you just hit, so this is pretty handy. So if you have thousands of test case in your program, this Maven command will run all the test case one after other in a sequence way, and it will produce a report like this. So in this case, in my case, the failure is 0 and there is no error. Everything looks okay in my scenario. I mean, this is a pretty simple test case, right? So if you create any error, it will show error also. Let me go and introduce the error, right? So Apple right? Just go and run. This time it will definitely show us an error. You can see that, oh, how many error in my program. You see, there is a one failure, right? So here you can just undo. For example, if you forget to save, you create a domain object. If you forget to save this record, right, what will happen? You are creating a new record, but you don't save it. But this time the stock name would be something, but it will go and pick up from the database of the last one inserted, but it will not match. Still it will throw error. Then you will find out, oh, there is an error in this particular code, right? Just commenting this also will create a bug. Okay, now let's go and do how this would be also helpful. Assume there are multiple developer working on this code using the Git or whatever the the big team or multiple people, blah blah. Sometimes one person came and just they introduce a new variable. Okay, assume somebody introducing this like okay, int. Okay, another way, integer um, or double value. um, okay, let it be, right? But he declared this as not null kind of variable. Okay, so it's a value. I think the value will throw error in the DB. Maybe let's try. This is the int not null, right? So somebody is declaring in the future, they're adding a new column in the database, and they are also mentioning this is a not null type, which means whenever you record a new data, it should not have a it will not accept a null value. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to save this. As I save, the Spring Boot will automatically compile this code, right? Sorry, I'm not running this code anyway. Now sh run run.sh, right? That's the code it will execute the Spring Boot project. That's simple. You can directly type something like this: maven spring -boot :run will execute the code. Okay, I just recorded this as one of the executable files so that I can quickly run. Okay, now it is running. If you go and look at the database, okay, um, you see the value column has inserted because it's a data change, right? It automatically inserted this particular value as a default value. Now assume that you are going and running the same test case. Let's see what happens. Okay, you go here. Now, I mean, just go and right click to run this test case. Let's see what happens. You see, this was a valid code, right? Until few minutes before, we were seeing that this code is okay, everything looks fine, and this is good. But because it's a big team and multiple people are working in a multiple modules, and one of the developer thought that okay, there is one more column is required, but he introduced a column with a not null as a requirement in the column. So when he or she build the code, I mean, they no need to come here and run because they don't know where and all the test cases are there, or in which case it can be tested. They can even simply go and just run the code, right? Let's say in my case MVN test. Okay, so let me run. I'm sorry, MVN test, right? So again, assume I'm another Spring Boot developer without knowing the uh, how the domain object is getting created. I simply modify the core domain object without you know finding where the what should be done. The test case will obviously throw error. Okay, so it says that, oh, there is a error in the test case, right? But obviously the test case, you see that this is a error, you can go ahead and find out. Oh, you find it, you will find the test case. Okay, here it says what exactly the error is, right? Now what we need to do is, let's go and add the active value also. Set, sorry, set the value, sorry, the getter setter is not included. Okay, let's go ahead and I mean, whenever you create a domain object, we have to make sure the getter and setter should be included, right? Anyway, whether they included this or not, the error will remain the same in the test case. Okay, now we'll go and find out. Okay, stock dot value, set value, then we need to enter double, right? It's a 0.0 something. Now you save it. This test case will succeed. There is no error in it. So I mean, you may get a confused that see, this test case is not going to be used anywhere, then why should I write this, and why this catches error? No, if you look at the other actual controller we developed, right? So here we created a stock and we are inserting. This is the controller page, which means any public or any user can come and they can create this stock by calling this controller. Maybe the front end will call. Now we know that according to this test case, because now it's success, right? So because we added here, if I add the controller like any other user, okay, let's say localhost um, API save name equal to hi, right? Sorry, it's not a 3030, it's a 8080, right? That is the default um, SpringBoot port. I mean the Java port, of course, Java server port. I'm running this. This throws a error, right? You know for sure that any user accessing your application will landed into the problem because someone introduced a new column into your domain object, which is a non-null column according to the definition. So because you are running the test case using the Maven command, the test case will find out the particular error. Then you can go ahead and find out wherever your code has such a method, then you know for sure I need to add the value column also, or we need to check whether we can add some default, uh, default value to the value column. All right. So this test case, would be very helpful. I mean, I know it's a very simple test case for you to, write out to test whether I can insert the record or um, compare the record, how it could be useful. All right. So now I just save this, and in order to remove this error, I can just go and run this, so it will make sure the file is clean. Because the text case and this is a test video, I wanted to make sure all test passes with a green signal. Okay, you see everything looks okay. And thanks for watching. If you have any question, please post that into the comment section. Bye.